In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to do lower thirds on top of live video using your ATEM switcher, Propresenter, OBS, PowerPoint, and whatever program else I can get my hands on. Hey guys, this is AJ the CEO. If this is your first time stopping by the channel, thanks for stopping by. And on this channel, we focus on tips, training, strategies, reviews, and builds to help modernize your media ministry. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. I have got this question so many times, and I just wanted to kind of break this down. I think I've actually done this before on certain applications, but I want to try and do this all-encompassing, so hopefully to answer your questions, or at least for this to be a guide. So what I'm going to do is do this in Worship Extreme, Propresenter, PowerPoint, and directly with just loading video as well. And I'm also going to be using this with OBS and a Blackmagic ATEM television studio. So in that range. Now you can do this in vMix. I don't want to say I'll do it in vMix because I'm not 100% sure. When I figure that out, I will add another video to cover this being done in vMix as well as Livestream Studio for Vimeo. All right, so the very first thing, this is really simple to do in the ATEM as well as Propresenter because it's kind of already set up this way. So what I have here, let's cut over here to the computer real quick. Here I'm in Propresenter. So you have templates for every aspect of how stuff is being displayed. They come with templates as well as you can make your own. So what I normally do at my church, we use the rectangle one, but you can make your own. They already have lower thirds made. So what I'm going to do is come in here and edit, and I've actually already edited 2 of these already. In here, this is mainly catered for, I'm starting with the Blackmagic stuff first. So let's say we pick here our lower third here. That's already a lower third title. So I'm going to click this background, and I want to change the fill color to something as close to black as possible. But not actually being black. So I'll use this gray, dark gray, and I'll go and change these other ones as well to something similar. All right, so now this is a part of my main template stack. So now that I have this in place, I already have a scripture up. Let's change the scripture. Let's look up, it's the 16th. Let's look up Proverbs 16. Oop, looking in the wrong place. Bible. Proverbs 16. All right, so I have this whole thing. Now what we're going to do is first apply a template to it. And we're going to pick the template that we just did for scripture. All right, so now there we go. So now if I click on this, boom, there's our scripture. You can see the accent color backed on there. Now let's cut over to our ATEM software. Inside of here, we have our DSK, our downstream keyers. Now what you're seeing right now is PC number 1, monitor number 2 of the system that is running Propresenter. Propresenter, the screen that you just saw was number 1. So I'm setting my source to be PC number 1, monitor number 2, which is what you're looking at right now. And I also want the key source to be the exact same thing. All right. So now that this is set, you could do masks and all this other stuff, but right now, because we're using solid black, we don't need to do that. So now that I have this, let's go ahead and cut back over to the screen. And then what I'm going to do is I have the software running on another computer here. So let me turn that on so you can actually see that. All right, so here's the secondary computer that's running this. So let me turn on Propresenter. And let's switch over to monitor number 2. All right, so this is what you would normally see if this was on, right? Now what we're going to do is let's switch back to our regular screen, which is going to be my Sony. So you're seeing me now. All right. So now what we're going to do is just simply press the DSK1 button. And as you can see, it's looped over here. And let me take this other screen off. So now you're seeing it, but the problem is the color is too close to black. So what we're going to do now is, let me turn this off and let's go back in here. Now what we're going to do is start playing with the gains and the clipping in here to adjust how the color is going to be masked. So I'm going to do this off screen so that I can actually see how this looks. Well, actually, let me bring over, I have the multi-view in here so you can actually see everything here. And let me turn this, the DSK is still on. So this is going to be kind of difficult to show this at the same time. So let's show this, and I need to get rid of this. All right, so let's go back in full screen. We're going to bring this up, and all I'm going to do is go through the adjustments on the clipping on the DSK. All right, so we're going to start playing with the clipping. As you can see, the color is coming in and out, and all I'm doing is, let me go over here so you can actually see. All I'm doing is coming in here and dragging these dials here to dial in exactly where we can still see the color, but it doesn't compromise the live video. All right, so and I'm gonna play with the clip and the gain this way. So I want to throttle this back to right about here, because anything lower than that, now you're starting to see the image start to be compromised. So I want to start playing with the gain as well too. So if I did this, I get all the color. Let me zoom out a little bit. Let me stand up here so you can actually see. So from here, I'm playing around with the dials, with the gain as well. So too much gain, now I'm starting to affect my picture. And with this gain, you want to have it somewhat transparent so you can see. So I think this is good for based off of what I have right now. So let me sit back down here. And that's pretty much it. That's all you really had to do, is you play with the gain. Now you could probably get a lighter color than gray. That's what I'm just using. Now you got to think, this works in multiple ways. So if you have your lower thirds set up with your own template, you can have an animated template in the background if you want, as long as it fits within the text, stays not confined, so it'll make it look all animated and all this other stuff. You can apply all these things, whatever you can do in Propresenter. If you put it in this type of theme and you match it with the color, the same thing will work. All right, so now this is going to be unique of how I'm going to do this with my computer here. So I'm gonna have to do this. I'm gonna have to do the OBS version of this later because of how my setup is. It's gonna be hard for me to record this, but that's mainly it. So let's come out of here and let me open up Worship Extreme, and we'll do the exact same thing. So just like there in Worship Extreme, what we want to do is set up a template, and let's say I'll take this choir rehearsal one that I did, and I'll use this. Now let's come in here and let's modify this. Now I don't need a background with this one. I'm gonna say none, or you can do just solid black or whatever. And then now we want to go edit our song, and we want to change this template to something similar to a lower third that's in this all the solid background. All right, now you will probably want to come in here and change this to where you have some type of color to make it stand out. It is up to you how you set that up. Like you can even come in here, let's save this, and say that I want to have a shadow on all of my text, and that will make it stand out, or you want to do an outline. Again, you want to get a color that's away from black because it will erase that, as well as your shadow. You want to do something like that. So let's say our outline, I'll do some type of close to red or something like that, just for this example. All right, so now let's go ahead and save that. Return. Let's output to the monitor here. So this is what's going to be outputted. Let's go ahead and bring this up and return to the song. All right, so we're bringing up our scripture. So if we go just to our second screen, you see that's what we're seeing. So now let's go back to our camera, and the DSK is still looking at monitor number 2, which is what this is. And actually, I'm sorry, I put the wrong camera up. Now we're going to hit DSK2 with that output, and we have the exact same thing. So I didn't have a color background on this one. I just did some highlights around it so it makes it stand out. So again, that was in Worship Extreme, so you can still do the same thing. And I know at my church we used to do Easy Worship. Easy Worship does the same thing. Media Shout, almost any program like that you can do. So let me take this off, and let's go back to our computer one more time, and let's do PowerPoint. So for those who aren't using anything. Now again, I highly recommend that you use Worship Extreme if you don't have anything, because it's free. But hey, to each their own. So maybe you already have everything in PowerPoint. So let's just go with that. So let me find PowerPoint on here. And I'm just gonna make, actually, let's do this. Let's change our background. I want to do a solid color. I want to do black. And then you can come in here and then do whatever in here. So I'm just going to say all right, so now let's change this text so you can actually see it. All right, so you could always put a shape in here. Something like that. And blue, that's a nice color. So let's now move this backward. All right, now again, because it's not in the lower third, I'm gonna move this down and shift it to here. All right, so now let's go ahead and present that, and then we're just gonna switch back over to our main camera. And now let's hit that DSK button again, and there you go. That's how you've done that in each one. That mindset is put everything in black on your image in whatever program it is that you want to have erased, and you would do that here in your in the Blackmagic Studio. Will actually remove that color, and you can play with the clip and the gain to help adjust the colors if you're not seeing exactly what you need to see. Now I'm not going to be able to run this at the same time. I'll show you the after effect of it, but what I would do inside, let me close out of this, and what I'm going to do is bring up OBS on my system here. And do I have, oh yeah, I have a webcam hooked up, so I can use that. So give me a second to design something here. And what I would do is, let's add our capture device, which is my webcam. All right, so we have this. Now how I would do this is, let me actually move this over to screen number 1. All right, so we have this, and I shouldn't have closed that down. Let me open back up Worship Extreme, because all of these are going to actually work the exact same way. So let's bring back up this that we did. We'll bring this up on monitor number 2. All right, so now let's come back here into OBS. Now what I'm going to do, this is completely different. This is if you don't have a switcher at all, this is how you would do this. So what I'm going to do is, this is actually being done on the same system as well. If you had NDI or any other way, this will work as well too. So I'm just going to bring up another scene. I'm going to just capture monitor number 2. And there you can see, you can't see anything. So in here, I'm just going to right click. I'm going to go to filters. I'm going to do the plus. And I'm going to color key, and I want to remove a custom color, and that color is going to be black. All right, and as you see, there we go, and there's your text over top live here on OBS. That's how simple this is, and I'm doing this with Worship Extreme, but just like we showed, you could change this with PowerPoint, you could change this with Propresenter. Boom, there you go. All right, so let's close this out and let's shut down Worship Extreme. Now I know what you're saying. Well, I don't have any of that. I just have the Blackmagic Studio. Now this is one of the cool things with the Blackmagic ATEM software, as well as if you have Photoshop. So let's cut back over the computer one more time. And I'm going to bring up Photoshop here. Now, when you install the ATEM control software, they actually include some sample graphics to show you how to make a lower third. This is using the media pool that's inside of the ATEM, which honestly, I don't use that much, but and here it is, just showing you how you can load graphics here. Now you could make those same still graphics in Canva, whatever program like that, with the black at the top and your graphics at the bottom, and it will still work the same way. And if you have one of the higher end ATEMs, you can actually put video in that way, and that's how you can do your motion. Mine only does still images. So if I come in here, this kind of shows you the layout of this. Now you can always modify the one that they already made for you, and if you have Photoshop, it actually comes with an export tool that you can install with a Blackmagic image exporter. So say I have this, I can just literally, you have two of them. You have an ATEM switcher pool, which will connect to your ATEM as long as you put in the IP address and you're connected to it that way on the same network. So if I click on this, now there's the IP address to my switcher. I can now push this anywhere in my media pool and set it to a player. So let's say we set this to player number 1. We're going to put it in slot number 1, and the name is going to be lower third. So I just hit export, and I'm going to cut over here at the same time I hit export. And as you can see, it's pushed over here. Now let's do that one more time just in case. So let's do that again. We're going to do export ATEM media switcher media pool, and now I want to call it just lower third, and I want to set it to media number 2 and put it in place number 2. All right, so let me switch over here, and now I'm just going to press export, and you'll see it populate over here. Boom, there you go. So now by doing this, let me switch back over to my camera over here. Now because I'm using this in my, actually I switched over too fast. Now that I have my media pool in my switcher, now I have these options at any point in time. So now I'm going to set my DSK to the media pool. You do the exact same thing. What I would do is now say my source is media number 1 and my key is media number 1. So now that's under DSK 2. So now if I switch back over to my camera here, and now instead of me, I press DSK 2, which is now looking at the media pool, and now there you go. So for those who want to make a very, very high quality lower third in Photoshop, you can have that there and just push it, or you can just upload it to your media pool, and there you go. Now the beauty of doing this in Photoshop, if you have Photoshop on the fly and you have somebody there in church, you can have it look super fancy and they can make the changes dynamically right there on the fly. So that's how simple it is to actually add this stuff into your stream using OBS by itself. I mean, we went through Photoshop, we went through PowerPoint, we went through Worship Extreme, we went through Propresenter, and we showed how to do that with your Blackmagic switcher with the stuff that's already built in. You just need to make a couple of changes in how you're using and displaying your lyrics, scriptures, or title. And you showed how in OBS you can do the same thing. You just need to have a solid color and erase it, and you can layer it on top. So I hope that answers the questions that I get a lot of times on how to actually do this. Now, one thing I will tell you, we didn't buy nothing. I just showed you all this. This was all the stuff I already had in place. So yes, I had Photoshop, but you don't need to buy that. If you have an ATEM, that's great, you already have it. But if you don't, we showed you how you can download a OBS and do this at the same time. So I hope that helped. Let me know if there are any other kind of things like this that you would like me to show and do a walkthrough on how to do this for your church. Again, this is AJ. I hope you like this type of content. If you do, I would appreciate a like. Consider subscribing and hit that bell. That way you get notified when we come out with other great videos like this to help modernize your media ministry. This is AJ. We'll see you on the next video. Later.